Hello out there and welcome. My name is Sharon Froshin. I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Discover Your PathU platform, where we believe that every life can teach and everyone can grow. To that end, I am also the host of this show, The Connection Sessions, where we bring together practitioners, entrepreneurs, artists, marketers, spiritualists, mentors, and students in an effort to connect to community, learn from each other, and grow. Today, I'm pretty excited because this woman came up with a subject that I could talk about for forever. We have with us Mindfulness Coach, Hannah Galliers, who has a very interesting and unique way of approaching mindfulness through the medium of self-care. So Hannah, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us how you got into life coaching and why self-care is so important to you.
Absolutely. So I've been coaching for around 2 years now. And the reason I got into it is I personally suffer from a lot of mental health issues. Going back sort of 5 to 6 years now, I struggle to leave the house some days. And I came across meditation. One of my friends said, would you want to go to this class with me? And I was trying to get out a bit more. So I said, yes, I will. And really, I haven't looked back. So I was going to that class every week, and I explored the idea of going on retreat. And so I went on retreat for 3 days in silence, and I'm a bit of a chatterbox. People don't believe I do this still. And you know what? It made me really reassess what's important in life. You know, your job and money, yeah, they serve a purpose, but they're not what life are. It's not what life's about at the end of the day.
Purpose.
No. So I then decided to make a big life-changing decision. I wanted to leave the rat race, actually make a difference in the world and make a difference to people's lives. And that's why I came across the self-care and the mindfulness. So helping people with stressful jobs, being able to tap out to that and really invest in themselves.
That is fantastic. There are not enough coaches out there helping people deal specifically with highly stressful jobs. Bravo. That's an amazing niche right there.
Thanks.
And you're approaching it from your own personal experience of having been one of those people with a high stress job, and how you actually yourself used all the same techniques that you're providing to your clients, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So even when I was working last in finance, one of the best things to do is to be able to just take a lunch break. For example, the amount of people that I know in management positions that don't take a lunch break,
Yes.
you know, because you've got too much work on.
Yeah.
If that's not helping you, you will burn out. Remember that. The work will never be done. There will always be something more to do. Go home. The work will be there tomorrow.
That's such a powerful message, and I really wish I had known you about 8 years ago when I was in healthcare politics, because I ended up having a nervous breakdown on the job doing just that, you know, constantly needing to make sure everything was done and not really focusing on myself and what it was that I needed to do to keep me running at tip-top shape. So how is it that you help your clients? Because most of the clients who end up in those high stress jobs are type A personalities who are put your head down, you work, you get it done. How do you help somebody rewire those neural pathways that are all focused at do into more of the being?
So I'm a type A. I'll be the first to admit. The first thing to say is you can only help someone if they realize that there's an issue. And anyone that's willing can be guided. It's not going to be an overnight transformation. It's reminding people to make one change, even every week. If you can find half an hour for yourself, take that half an hour, even if it's only 5 minutes a day. Just take some time for you and find out what it is you want. The fact you're probably approaching a coach means you want to change enough. You know that there's a problem. And it's helping them realize that there's this opportunities every day. I know what it feels like to feel like everything's above you and you're just about keeping your head underwater or over water. And it's reminding you that using different techniques like gratitude lists, one of my favorite techniques.
Indeed.
Remind yourself what to be grateful for, because especially with negative thoughts and things like that, it's so easy to become overwhelmed and you forget all these beautiful things in the world.
You certainly do. And it's so easy to, like, Beth Gray, who is one of my colleagues,
Mhm.
is currently doing an amazing gratitude challenge in the Divine
Mhm.
Shenanigans group. And what I love about this most recent live that she did in the group was about money. And many of us have this idea that when a bill comes up, oh, I have to pay it. And switching that to the gratitude of having the
Mm.
money to pay it, so just at the molecular level changes your relationship
Yeah.
with bill paying. It's no longer, oh, I have to give up money. It's like, oh, thank God I have it in the first place.
Mhm.
Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing?
It's beautiful. I think especially in the Western world, I think we have. I mean, I'm very grateful for my life. I've had some hardship, but in the place I'm at the moment in my life, it's not something I face on a regular basis. And I think all of us are so guilty to forget how good we actually have it. You know,
Yes.
I went into London just a few weeks ago, and I was reminded of the homeless problem that we have here in the UK, and
Yeah.
actually how it's affecting people every day.
Yeah. That's very powerful. I was homeless for almost a decade, and it we have this weird dichotomy here in the United States
Mhm.
of enabling homelessness and then pitying the homeless.
Mhm.
And we're not enabling them with tools like you were using
Mhm.
to actually thrive on a human level. It's more on a label level. So you're homeless, so how can I help you thrive as a homeless person? Whereas if we looked at it from, how can I help you thrive as a human being?
Yeah.
Not because you're homeless. What do you need to do to reach that level of thriving as a human being? So how do you help your clients who are labeled as those type A
Mm.
personalities, those people who go, 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 do? How do you help them realize the value of meditation in a modern society?
Oh, these are difficult questions. Um, so I guess you do it the same way. So obviously, being a type A personality, the same with any personality test, is a spectrum,
Yes.
and it's reminding them that it's not all of them. It doesn't define them,
Right?
and it's being able to move away from that. So there's a really good personality test that I love. It's called the SDI personality test.
Mm-hmm.
So either red, blue, or green, or somewhere in the middle. And I think that personality test for me, I prefer because of it shows it on a graph and a spectrum, and it's being able to pull on those traits
Mm.
that complement the meditation and the more relaxed lifestyle. If you're putting a type A personality into a situation where they need to meet deadlines, they are going to force themselves to meet them no matter what the cost.
Indeed.
And it's being able to take them to a different situation, in a different environment, and allowing them to have that space to do that.
Yes, and one of the things that I found, and I'm even guilty of this myself as a type A personality, is that I tried to type A meditation. Do you know what I'm saying? Where, okay, now you have to do a full hour of meditation.
Yeah.
You better not think at all, damn it. And then we're like trying to force something that is like the exact antithesis of
Yeah.
meditation. And I'm sure from the laughter that you've experienced this and that you've experienced clients that struggle with.
Oh,
So for those of us that are perfectionists, how can we get past that?
um, compassion is the
Yes.
first thing. It really reminded me of a time I was actually on a meditation retreat, probably the most recent one. And I remember I was making, I think this was on day 2. So I did 5 days and this was day 2. And I was planning. I caught myself planning what I was going to do when I got home. And I was like, wait, you still got 3 days here. You don't need to be planning. Um, it's approaching it with compassion and kindness, which is the whole idea behind meditation. So it's interesting that I caught myself doing that and thinking, okay, right, that's really interesting, but that's not for now. Let's come back. Let's come back. Always come back to the breath. And it's that compassion practice.
And I found that it's actually only through meditation that you can begin to hear that you can begin to hear yourself planning, because you're no longer plugged in exclusively to the energy of thought as your only
Mm-hmm.
reality.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Definitely.
interesting that we because I'm a perfectionist. I don't know about you. Most type A personalities are. And we have this idea that I have to meditate. There can be no thought involved. And the next day I have to be enlightened. You know what I'm talking about? And we
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
I love your message of compassion, not only with ourselves, but with others, that understanding that, you know, an hour of meditation isn't going to make you the Buddha tomorrow, but it is
Mm,
going to make you step by step better equipped to hear everything that's going on up here.
I think something else you need to remind yourself of is what I'll have some meditations where I can sit there for an hour. Fine, no problem. Great, I've mastered meditation. Next week I go and I can't sit still, and it's like I'm not even getting the basics right. But it's reminding you it's all part of the journey. Well, actually, that's really interesting. Well, why can't I sit? What's happened? You know, what has something happened today? That's really interesting, and notice what's coming up. And I think it's, especially with meditation, it's something you're not good or bad at. You know, type A's will like to think we're good or bad at something, but it's about you just doing it and being there and being present, and then that's great. You just be you, just be.
I did this post for my coaching page a couple of days ago discussing the idea of I think, therefore I am. And I switched it to I think, therefore I suffer, because that is so true. And we spend all of this time trying to think our way through everything, but the only moment that can't really be thought of is right now. You can't think about right now, because right now you have to experience it. You have to look around the room and truly appreciate where I am. How am I sitting? How does my body feel? Do I feel any tingling anywhere? And none of that is thinking. That's experiencing the present moment. And yet we have been taught as a society that I think, therefore I am. And we spend all of our time up here, which takes us out of what? The only moment we have any power, which is right now. And I love how meditation just plunks us right back into the seat of our power.
It's one of my favorite books, actually, is The Power of Now.
Yes.
Yes. And that's one way that it's Eckhart Tolle, isn't it?
Eckhart Tolle, yes.
Yeah. He describes about the inner body, and he's like, it's something you can't describe, but you'll know about it. And it's about noticing the inner energies inside ourselves.
Yes.
And making sure that at all times we have about 20% of our focus on our inner energies to help separate us from the constant thinking of our minds, and making sure that we're present not only in ourselves but also in the moment around us.
Yes. I love Alan Watts does some teaching on the fact that the remembering, so in other words, the recording function of the brain, is actually what allows the witness within us, as Eckhart Tolle talks about. I believe he calls it the watcher.
Yeah.
That's what keeps the watcher tied to the identity of the self. That, okay, I can look back and realize that 5 minutes ago I was the same self as I am right now, so I'm still the same self. When in truth, I believe that the watcher, who we truly are, is a far more fluid state. How have you found that meditation helps you to not record so much?
So I was recently at Gaia House in Devon, and we actually talked about this concept. One of the teachings there was talking about how everything is a flow through, and how actually that it's not us flowing through time, but time flowing through us. And looking at it from a different perspective. You know, we always think about time, we have to get somewhere, we have to be something. And actually, you know, it's us, everything going through us, and everything will pass. And looking at things moment to moment and noticing how they're changing. And being aware of that. I mean, one of my favorite anecdotes, I guess, kind of thing is when you're drinking a cup of tea, for example, how many times have people gone to go pick up the cup again, take another sip, and realize they've drank it all? I know I've done it a million times, but that's a reminder that you're not living in the moment, because you're not even aware of what you're doing.
Yes. You're just running on those automated scripts that we install in the brain after we do something a number of times. And it is interesting to, like, when I was first learning hypnosis, one of the things that they discuss is that when you get into your car and the next minute you arrive at work and you have no idea how you got there, that's an example of a trance state, that we're not really present. The body is just doing the automatic repetition of all the things necessary to arrive at a certain result.
Yeah.
And that meditation actually helps to unwind those neural pathways that lock us into those trances, because we become focused on something other than the mind. So rather than being focused on the chatter going on in our heads, if we do regular silent meditation where we're focused on the breath, that's actually a tool. And it's one I used yesterday when my AC here in southern Mississippi kicked out, and you can cook yourself overnight in the house without AC.
Oh.
And I had to go get an air conditioner, bring it back. It was missing parts, had to take it back and bring it back again. And it's hot, hot, hot the entire time. I actually found myself subconsciously reverting to just listening to my breath instead of this isn't fair and why is this happening? Yeah. I found myself listening to the breath, but we don't do that regular meditation where we're creating that new trance state, focusing on the breath. We don't have those tools available to us. How have you found that works in your own life?
So I know this as part of like my remit, I do obviously coaching and goal-based as well. And one thing I've experimented with myself is about obviously the neural pathways and creating new neural pathways. So it takes, I think it's 21 days for new neural pathways to form. So if you do something for 21 days, you'll start to create the new pathways. One technique to help this is to do something you're not very good at and to do it at the same time. So for example, if we're talking about self-compassion and self-love, might be a mantra that you say to yourself in the mirror every day. Like I say to yourself, I love you, I'm strong and I can do this, you know. Because I don't know about you, but I suffer from a lot of negative self-views, and that self-love is something I need to practice every day. And if you do it with for example, brushing your teeth, it's a reminder to do that every day. But if you brush your teeth with the opposite hand to your dominant hand, over the 21 days, new neural pathways form, and it will help install that belief in you.
That's quite powerful. So just changing something as small as the hand that you brush your teeth with can actually help to reprogram your brain.
Yeah, because you will get better at it over time and your brain will associate the two. So as you get better, your belief in yourself will increase.
That's some powerful stuff right there, lady.
Yeah.
That really is.
Yeah, it's one thing I found that's really powerful for everyone, because brushing your teeth is something everyone does.
One of the things that I think I find not depressing but discouraging as it relates to mindfulness is that often people believe that mindfulness and meditation are the same thing when they truly aren't. So would you mind sharing with us the difference between what mindfulness actually is and what meditation is as a practice within mindfulness?
Yeah, sure. So mindfulness is kind of, I guess it's a really hot topic at the moment. I think the actual term stems from the 80s. And so mindfulness is kind of bringing some of the techniques and ideas of meditation and applying them to your everyday life. So I know for me, for example, before I started meditating, I thought it seemed ridiculous, and it was just people sitting there, maybe going, you know. Mindfulness is about being aware of what's around you and living in the moment, and being able to separate yourself from the rush of everyday life. I would say that's what mindfulness is, being mindful of what's going on. So obviously you can do that anywhere. And I think people get so carried away that I think it's something that is so important in society these days. Whereas meditation, yes, you are aware of the moment. Meditation is a practice of sitting. or standing or lying or however you want to do it. Obviously, all is okay. But I think that the crossover there is for both is the practice of self-compassion, and the approach to both of them. I guess the views of where they both come from sit in very similar places.
Yes, they indeed do. And compassion is not something that we are regularly taught for ourselves. Actually, quite to the contrary, between education systems, especially in the West, religious systems in the West, even the sociology and psychology of the workplace in the West, all lead to that constant beating of ourselves. And it seems like education has become a ladder that you start at 5, and when you climb enough rungs, then you make the accomplishment of now being able to work, and then you're right back in the same game. If you get enough rungs, then you get a new promotion, and then you get more work, and then you get a new ladder until we retire, which is supposed to be the ultimate ladder. And then that's where most people, within 5 years of retirement, a lot of people in the United States are deceased. And it's so frightening that in none of that are we actually present. We're just climbing a ladder and playing a game that has been set out for us by society. So how does mindfulness and meditation as a practice within mindfulness help type A, high stress job having clients come back to the moment and understanding that ultimately society is a game?
Yeah, it is. It's a reminder that, if you keep playing that game, there'll always be something else. Yes. You'll always want the next job. You'll always want the next car, the next house, the next something. And all you need is actually here right now.
Yes.
If you just breathe and listen to yourself, I am here, I am present. And that's all you ever needed, and it's taken me I'm saying this like it's easy. It's really not. It's taken me such a long time to get into the place I am now. But, just stop. Your life will pass so quickly. Just take in everything you can. And if you keep pushing yourself, you will burn out.
Yep, just like an engine that you rev too high. If we don't take care of our own inner machinery, it will give out. And we see it giving out in the huge uptick in medication intake, both in the United States and Western Europe. We see it in high burnout rates of the executives, especially in this country, executives that just are fried beyond belief in their early 40s. We're just grinding on to an unknown end for an unknown purpose.
Yeah, growth is not always the best outcome. I think generally the whole structure of the Western world is for more, and it's ingrained into us from such a young age that we always want more. And we even see that with like government targets and things like that. Sorry, getting a bit political, but that's not, it's not the answer. There's going to be at some point where people and societies and countries can't give more. It's just not possible. We need to find a better way of doing things.
Yes, we do. And what you are offering is certainly a big part of that, because it helps to take people who are driven to what they're not exactly sure, come back to that anchoring within the self and who I am and what I need. So on behalf of a type A personality who has had one of those high stress jobs, thank you so much for the work that you do, because it is truly, truly important. And we have a viewer here, Stephen Alexander Simmons, who is one of my favorite guys, says, I want to see Hannah on stage too. And I know that I would love to see that as well, because this is a TED Talk that we could all benefit from. So thank you so much for being here with me today, Hannah. Thank you for sharing not only what it is that you do, but your own inner struggle and your own journey that led you to why it is that you do what you do. Because often, if there is no why, there's not much of a way either.
No.
So thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you to our viewers, to Sammy D, who is our Chief Technology Officer for the DYPU platform, to Steve and Alexander, and to those of you who are going to come behind and watch this video, just drop us a hashtag replay. Let us know that you were here. If you're interested in having more of a conversation with Hannah and finding out more about what it is that she does, all of her contact information is in this live. Tag her in a comments in the ongoing conversation on this live. Use the contact information that's available in the text of this live. Reach out to her, find out what it is that she does and why she does it, because honestly, it's an extremely important thing that we do not have enough of in society. So one last time, Hannah, thank you so much for being here with me. And to all of our viewers, thank you for tuning in with us. And as always, we will see you tomorrow, same place, same time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.